welcome to this ET Now special. I'm Nayantara. Today I have two very special guests. I have a petitioner against Section 377. He's a hotelier. He's well known in the hospitality circles, Keshav Suri. And he's being joined by his counsel, his childhood buddy, and the one who wrote the petition for him, Neha Nagpal. Thank you, both of you, for joining us here on ET Now. I'd like to tell my viewers that we're going live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter. Send us your queries, send us your comments. I will be taking them live right here. So let's get down to it. Keshav, I'll begin with you. A historic hearing at the Supreme Court, a 5-member bench of the Constitutional Bench hearing the petition against Section 377. How hopeful are you that indeed homosexuality can be decriminalized?
I'm very hopeful. I think it's been such a positive response of what's going on in the court. I actually think that this answer is better from Neha, because honestly, without Neha and without the legal counsel that has been on this from the very beginning, in fact, this fight has been for 30 years now, I think they are the ones who would be best suited to answer this. I am exceedingly hopeful.
Neha, what about you? How hopeful are you? We've only been hearing about what's happening in court, and it does seem like there's been a lot of favorable commentary.
Yes, of course. I'm of course going to say this with a caveat that it's sub judice, the judgment is reserved. But on a different note, yes, I am very hopeful. The arguments went off very well. The government stand was, very mature and balanced. So we're looking at a change, and it's going to be good. I'm quite sure of that.
Keshav Suri, is their fight only against decriminalization? The government has told the Supreme Court that that's all that they should be looking at.
For now, yes, that is the fight, is against decriminalization. But for the future, there's going to be a lot more to fight for.
Will we see that happening?
Let's see what the verdict brings out, the observations, it's only once this fight is over, this verdict comes out, will we be able to say what next.
So let's talk a little bit about the hearings that took place. They were over 4 days. Keshav Suri, we didn't know till I think day 2 or day 3 that what the government stance was going to be. I think it was day 2. Day two.
Yeah.
Were you surprised? Did you think they would fight Section 377? How did you react when it came to be known that they were leaving it to the wisdom of the court?
I think that was the right thing to do. I think they answered, like Neha said, maturely, and I was pleasantly surprised. Yes.
So, having a little history of this the 377 battle, especially in the Supreme Court. Actually, let me go back to NAS Foundation. Even NAS Foundation and the High Court, though there was a dichotomy between the stand taken by the Ministry of Legal Affairs and the Ministry of Home Affairs. The Ministry of Home Affairs before the Delhi High Court during the NAS Foundation days had opposed it, while the Ministry of Legal Affairs was in support of decriminalization. Before the court in the Supreme Court, there was again a little bit of dichotomy, but that finally dichotomy was taken to a rest when the judgment came, and there's something known as a review petition, which was filed by the then government. So we were a little iffy, we didn't know, but somehow everybody was very hopeful. And the government, I think, did the best they were, because they could do, and they was in the circumstances that I think there was a very balanced response.
But Keshav, tell me, what were those 4 days like? Were you able to be at work? Was it business as usual for you? You're running a large hospitality group, or do you think your attention was at the Supreme Court?
One thing that my parents taught me is multi-skilling and multitasking. And when you work in hospitality, you know that you're on 24 hours a day, 365, days in a year. So there's really no break. I was on tenterhooks, I'll be honest with you. It was a bit of an emotional roller coaster, I think, more so because it's a 30-year fight. It's not a fight that just happened, as of yesterday. It's a 30-year fight in this country, and it's been many more decades fight in other countries. So I think it was all a bunch of emotions that got together, and yeah.
It was a batch of petitions that came together. But how conscious are you also of the fact that it was really after your petition you saw a slew of new ones that had been filed at the Supreme Court?
Well, I don't agree with that, because, I mean, if you go back into the history, there was NAS Foundation that has already been doing this for a very long time. And then after that, before me was Navtej, was Ritu, was Amarnath. And there have been people on this for years. I might have started a little bit of a domino effect. I think that's what it is. I was also the only petition that happened right after the privacy, the privacy judgment, and that could have sort of started a domino effect that gave a lot of people courage to go and do more writs. But I think they were already in the pipeline. I'm just a name. I'll be honest with you. I'm a name. The people who are really fighting for this are people like her, are people like Menika, Arundhati, are people that have been doing this for years, like Ashok Rao Kavi from Humsafar Trust, are people from the Naz Foundation. These people really are the ones who need credit. I'm just a name, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I definitely do think he's more than that, because he did have the domino effect. I have to give it to him. He was the first petitioner after the privacy judgment. But what he brought on the table was something slightly different, which actually started from a conversation, a little bit of an argument that happened, like most things happen between good friends, is why should I have to not be the person I am? Why should I have to hide who I love? And look at the lives that I can impact with people who are being marginalized because they're from the LGBTQ community. And that's how the Pure Love campaign started, right here at the Lalit group of hotels, and that gradually led to a lot more research, where the pink economy, the pink pound, the pink dollar came about, and that's what put his petition together. And strangely, there was a World Bank report which supported the entire argument we'd been having amongst our friends, that he used to constantly, debate about, and that we'd always counter debate about. And the World Bank report of cost of homophobia in India. That's what actually led to the filing of Keshav's petition.
True, but I still think that if I wouldn't have done it, somebody else would have. And I think that, again, it's just somebody, it's doing something for the greater good of the country. It's doing something and giving a voice to a lot of voiceless people. I'm quoting a lot of people like Ritu Dalmia, who recently said that we're just names. The real people who have actually worked behind it are the ones who really should be getting the credit.
I take your point that you're saying you're not a grassroots activist.
I'm not.
But Keshav Suri, you were born with a silver spoon.
Yep.
You are the heir apparent of the Lalit Suri hospitality group. So I have to ask you this: did your access to resources, and here I mean money, help in this case?
Nobody charged for this. Everyone has done this.
She's your best friend. She won't charge you.
No, but even the other people, including people like Mr. Mukul Rodgi and Mr. Dattar, who were the ones on the first day who were speaking, they haven't charged for this. Everyone's done this pro bono.
Okay, so they've done it pro bono. They're not charged.
At least the ones that I know.
Yeah. Okay, that's so. Everybody's here is fighting for a case.
Yeah,
clearly.
I think all of us as lawyers in the judicial system understand that here we're dealing with not just one Ritu Dalmia or Navtej or a Keshav. We're dealing with lives. We're dealing with a humanitarian issue.
Yeah.
And that humanitarian issue impacts not just mental health, not just what happens in somebody's bedroom, but also what we're giving on to the future generation in terms of, a thriving economy.
And most importantly, the world's watching.
The world's watching.
The world's watching. I mean, there's a lot that has changed from 2013 to now, where a lot of more countries have actually even given equal rights. When we were talking about what next.
They're given civil rights.
They were given civil marriage equality, insurance, Medicare, inheritance. I mean, all of that has happened across the world. So I think now the world's watching. So I think it's,
And I would imagine that has to be the next logical step. Like in court, these questions came up that if you go to a hospital, you're not allowed inside because you're not considered to be a family member at the time of insurance, inheritance. These are real problems.
But I just like to say that I'm giving Medicare insurance to my employees that are same-sex couples and as well as adoption. We discussed this the last time we met. But I'm still doing that.
And how was that battle with the insurance companies, etc.?
Well, it took a while. It wasn't easy. And again, the biggest thing that was thrown upon me was Section 377, which I have discussed repeatedly again and again. It also stops a lot of corporates and as well as other companies to actually do more than they are supposed to.
I want to talk to you now about Keshav Suri, the businessman who decided to come out in the Supreme Court. I interviewed you last time, just when you had filed the petition at the Supreme Court. What's your experience been post that? Was it a game changer in your life? In your personal life and your business life?
In a good way and a bad way, I guess. Now I'll be known for this and maybe a lot of my other hard work that I've been doing might go for a toss, but I don't care. I think it's just, again, for the greater good of, if anything can come up. But I've always said this, if I can be used as a door opener, okay, it's not the resources, not the money that we were talking about that people have taken, but it's actually a way to talk about it. If I can open doors in certain aspects, then why not? Nothing is changed in that front, but I think people have actually taken a lot more notice of my courage and probably compared me to my father.
Yeah?
After this, yeah.
So, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. Now, you decided to come out in the open a lot earlier, and you could do that because you had a support system from your family, which you've been very open about and vociferous about. Not everyone is as lucky as you. But tell me, when you go to business meetings, are they as forthcoming? Do you face any form of discrimination at all? And before the petition and post the petition?
So before the petition, see, it's a question of, again, I have been out now to my family for more than 11 years. It wasn't always easy. And yes, before the petition, there was forms of discrimination. But I think I've been able to rally up at least my people that are my family, and that is my team of 3,500 people that work for me, to take me seriously. And it doesn't really matter about what clothes I wear. It matters about what I do.
I want to talk to you about a little bit about the pink economy, which is very much a part of your petition, and maybe the differentiator in the slew of petitions that are there before the Supreme Court and have been argued upon. Do you want to tell us about this pink economy?
Well, basically, it's the power of the LGBTQ community across the world that has, contributed to the GDP growth of many countries. Various kind of businesses have been set up on this, whether it's LGBTQ cruises, whether it is tourism. Look at Israel, for example. Good, bad, or ugly. They've been promoting LGBTQ pride in the Middle East for the longest time. It's also the power, or culture, or I mean, look at examples like Ellen DeGeneres, for example. The point is that, and then also the World Bank report says the same thing about discriminatory practices or draconian law that can cause massive negative impact to the GDP or growth of a country because a person doesn't feel productive enough.
It also talks about how employers don't want to hire somebody because you're seen as a supposed felon. You're not given.
No, but also then that person cannot even give their 100% at work, and then that causes mental stress. And therefore, that mental stress then is very easily sought after with substance abuse.
At some level of it, it basically infringes upon Article 21 of the Constitution, because your right to life, in a way, which is a whole component of your right to work, your right to reputation, your right to family, your right to choice of partner now, your right to privacy also now, is all impinged upon. So it's literally...
So it marginalizes everyone.
It marginalizes you to a point that, you're probably left with asking yourself, why am I alive? So I think that was the whole fight of getting the message out there. What I also have to say is, with people like Ritu, Navtej, Keshav, all coming out there and sharing their experiences, it has also sort of brought about a lot of awareness. Now, what we need to understand is the legal system that we deal with, as they always say about the Constitution, it's a living document. It grows with time. That has really helped people understand that people can just be normal. As a straight person, you can look at a gay person and you don't have to judge them. They can just be as normal as you or me. And I think that has really sort of helped civil society understand that it's not a disease, it's not against the order of nature.
Even that was argued in the Supreme Court about it being a mental disorder. Those that are in favor of Section 377 have brought that point about.
Of course.
The IPS, which is the Indian Psychiatric Society, has released statements that it's not a mental disorder. In 2018, when these statements, of course, across the world were released in the 80s and 90s. So, see, the point is that we're the new normal. What is normal? I mean, what is the definition of normal? These were also sort of questions asked by the Supreme Court. What is order of nature? What is nature? Define.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. While both of you have applauded the government for taking a mature and a balanced stance and left it to the wisdom of the court, they've also argued that this should only be for decriminalization. If that were to indeed happen, and you do see decriminalization, will that really change a lot on ground, Keshav?
Well, it will. It's a step. It's a step, because once you are decriminalized, you know very well that you have to protect the people that have come out at the same time.
No, then actually, once they come out, once they're not a felon any longer, what do they need to be protected against? You know,
Discrimination, phobias.
But the stigma.
More importantly, I think it needs to be. We need to go on to Medicare, insurance, equal rights, inheritance.
It sort of opens a gamut of opportunities.
It opens a door for all of you to take this conversation forward.
Well, yes, of course.
I mean, see, because if you look at it in this section 377, it criminalizes heterosexual people as well, by the way. It does,
but it
it's
will
not
lead to
just
anarchy is what the court has also observed if they were to strike down section 377.
No, see, section 377 has a multitude of aspects to it. What the fight is really about is consenting adults in private. Now, consenting adults homosexual or consenting adults heterosexual have the right to choose their sexual partner, to choose their sexual orientation, or you know, practice in sort of be in any kind of sexual relationship as per their free will. What they're concerned about is child abuse or bestiality, which is the court's concern, which we understand. So the entire argument has been, so insofar as you are concerned with consenting adults, it should be decriminalized.
So you're saying that it will change things on ground, and it's a start to that.
Of course.
Because, see, coming back to it, section 377 is sort of used as a way for
Has it been
phobia.
misused? Has it been misused?
Yes.
Because the government always used to say that, you know, but it's not being misused.
It
so
is.
what if it's there?
No, these are stories that you don't hear of, that are not reported, but it is being massively misused.
Okay.
Especially at ground level.
So you have to wait for the judgment till October is what we are picking up, is when the verdict could come out. So
that's the upper limit.
Oh, that's the upper limit. So we could see it come out before October as well. Keshav Suri, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you brought about and how you've tried to bring about this sea change, at least in your hotels, when it comes to LGBT rights. Now, after you filed the petition in the Supreme Court, share experiences with us. Have your friends or you know, fellow peers in industry given you a phone call, tried to find out about it? Have they tried to introduce this change since you've become open about it?
So when I did discuss with you last time, I did say that I went for the Niti Aayog's New India 2022, where I asked this question about you know, how to mainstream LGBTQ, and since then I have had a lot of people actually come back and ask me what have I done in my HR practices. I can proudly say now that I have more than 6 transgender employees that are working for me. I can proudly say more that now that I have a lot of people that have had their guts to come out, share their stories. I've had a story that has just I don't know if I shared this with you last time or not, but an acid burn survivor who's transgender, I've had her story come out and how she basically came to terms with herself and how I have employed her. I think that I don't need the congratulations of really the...
I'm not asking congratulations. I'm asking you that have you been able to convince other industrialists to follow such HR practices?
I think so, yes. A few.
Yes?
Yeah, I'll give you the answer, yes. I have.
So this will indeed be your legacy?
I think so.
Yeah?
If you're saying it, I cannot. No, but the problem is that I've been told that I'm too much into self-praise. So
I won't get into all that. We're not going to get into personalities here.
Yeah.
You have argued and talked about how this can add to the economy if Section 377 is, if not fully struck down, but at least gives more rights to the LGBT community.
Yep.
It can add to the economy. Do you want to tell me how it can? Give me some examples.
Well, for example, if you talk about weddings, then imagine how many more weddings you will have when you have with a big fat Indian wedding. And in terms of tourism, the biggest point is tourism. Why are we not allowing so many people that are from the community, that are from countries that have given equal rights and marriage equality, France, UK, that will not come to India because of this law? Irrespective of whether it's been misused, not misused, the fact that it exists and the fact that everyone has caught on that it exists, we are losing out on tourism. We're losing out on tourists on a daily basis. We're losing out on people who might want to spend on housing. We're losing out on people who might want to...
What do you mean losing out on housing?
Well, we did discuss this last time about how higher disposable incomes have been so many studies about...
Because they don't typically have children.
So it's double income, no kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how many places across the world have basically been developed, like the meatpacking district in New York or Soho in London? I mean, see, these are pure capitalistic approach, but it is definitely denting the economy. If you're going to go into basic statistics, then yes. We're also hampering the growth of a lot of companies. For example, so there's so many companies that cater specifically to the LGBTQ community that cannot exist here.
I didn't even know there were such companies.
There are many tour operators. There are cruises. There are LGBTQ cruises. There are drag cruises. There are cruises that are going all across the world except India.
But you do bring you are well known for for bringing drag queens to India, and you do have these movements across the country.
Well, I did it, but I did it at a risk. It also wasn't easy for me to actually bring them to India. I had to tell them that the Lalit is a safe place. I've been a fan of drag forever. I'm a certain age now. I have been trying for so many years to bring a drag queen. I only managed to do it last year in August. Well, you can understand why. It's not.
And were you able to are you able to sponsor such events?
I'm sponsoring such events. Are people coming and sponsoring this event for me? No,
okay.
Not yet. But since the last time we spoke, I've had a few offers at least.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is all out of the pocket for you?
Yes, it's all out of the pocket.
But I'm sure then you can charge considerably and make up for it?
Well, if you say so. I have to make a living at the end of the day, and I've never shied away from the fact that I am a capitalist. I'm not an activist. No, I'm not a socialist. I'm never going to claim myself to be one. And so yes, I do charge an entry, and I am not unabashedly not charging for an entry, because these are not cheap things. Running an organization and running programs such as this and bringing drag, which is a subculture within the LGBTQ community, in itself is not cheap.
Yeah, I can imagine it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Do you want to give me an idea of where such events are popular in India?
At the Lalit and at Kirisu.
No, only in Delhi, or like do you take them to other towns?
I'm doing it in Chandigarh, I'm doing it in Calcutta, I'm doing it in Bangalore, I'm doing it in Mumbai. These are the ones that are really, really popular, of course. What touches me is, of course, Chandigarh. And
Chandigarh is popular?
It's very popular. In fact, sometimes the LGBTQ nights do better than the heterosexual nights.
That's quite an eye-opener, I must say. Neha, if I could now come to you, how did the legal community... How's the legal community reacted to all of the hearings revolving around Section 377? And is there a sense that everybody's now, it's a given that it is indeed going to be decriminalized? To an outsider, it certainly seems like that. Just hearing what happened in court.
Saying, I'm not going to say anything, it's sub judice. But
no body shaming here.
I didn't mean it like that. No, but we're all very hopeful. Insofar as the legal community, I'm talking about the bar, not the bench at the moment. Everybody at the bar, Nayantara, has been exceptional. Whoever I have interacted with in my course of, right from Naftej's petition when Menika approached me for the first time that, look, we need to file this, to right up till Keshav's, every single person was like, 377 has to be decriminalized. It's wrong. We're living in, the 21st century, Article 21. And I think it was gradually, if you see the momentum in the Supreme Court, 4 successive judgments. Nalsa in the case of 2014, which was the transgender case, that led to actually we have the first time the current parliament has a transgender member of parliament. Then we had the privacy judgment in 2017, which gave the right to privacy at the status of fundamental right, and also went to acknowledge sexual orientation to be a part of the right to privacy. Then we moved on to Shakti Vahini, which was the case of Khap Panchayats and honor killings, where they acknowledged the right to choose a partner. And then the Hadia, famous Hadia case, where the Supreme Court went on to say that the state plays no role in two consenting adults wanting to choose each other. So successively,
and in the midst of all this, you've had the British Prime Minister Theresa May actually apologize for the colonial hangover of criminalizing homosexuality under 377, which was never an act of the British Parliament. It was just something
Victorian morality.
It's a colonial hangover.
It was a colonial hangover, and let me tell you this: that during the course of the hearing, this actually fell from the bench. The bench observed Theresa May's comment.
They also observed the sexuality of the Irish Prime Minister and the Icelandic
Prime Minister. So
we're running out of time. I would love to carry this on. I'm going to give you the final word. You already told me you're hopeful, and I want to end this on an optimistic note. In case Section 377 is indeed decriminalized, what is it going to mean for Keshav Suri, the businessman, as well as for your personal life?
It's going to mean the world. it's going to mean a brighter, better, more inclusive India that I've always dreamed of. And it's going to be able to also validate my relationship with my partner, who is French, who in his country, by the way, is legal. So, you know, it's going to mean the world to me.
With that, I'd like to thank both of you for being so candid and talking to us here on ET Now.
Thank you, Nayantara.
And many thanks for tuning in.